It takes principles of building a civilization. It takes principles of building a building. If these principles are disobeyed, the building is going to fail. It's not going to work. It's going to be scrapped. We in humanity have mastered principles of building hell on planet Earth, not paradise on planet Earth, which is completely different. It takes principles to build paradise on our planet. And it takes principles to build hell on our planet, and we're good at that. Humans are very good at building hell. They've discovered all the principles to build hell, and the hell is working very well. One of the first principles is this children making children, which is the norm in humanity. 70, 80, 90%, extraordinary number of children making children. The men in a lot of countries want a young 18, 19, 20, 22-year-old girl who is a child, who doesn't have a lot of maturity in life. She doesn't have a lot of living. She doesn't have a lot of experience, and she has no money. So being born to a child who is poor, is basically a bad card. It's a hellish condition. There should be adults making children. Adults are matured souls who understand life, who have lived life, and who have enough money to make the children's life sweet. That's a rarity in humanity. That is not the norm. If you watch the news, there's never a war on poverty. There's always a war between countries, between nations, between hateful, belligerent factions in humanity, between different races. But there's never a war on poverty. There's never a war from any government to say, we want to get rid of poverty for good. We want to make rent cheap. We want to make mortgage cheap, food cheap. We want to get rid of gasoline and make electric cars that are cheap for the people, bring down inflation. Inflation is caused by kicks of companies who raise the prices. When gasoline goes up in price because the cartels have decided that the gasoline is going to go up in price, everything in the economy has to go up in price to keep up with this inflation business. Inflation increases the poverty of the planet. Inflation has doubled, tripled, quadrupled in the last few decades. This creates more poverty. It doesn't create wealth. In paradise, wealth is created and poverty dies. So it's a completely different situation. How does poverty die? Well, the government has to go to war against poverty. It has to go to war against the thieves and against companies and corporations who are always kicking the prices up. If gasoline goes up, if cars go up, if rent goes up, if mortgage goes up, life is get poorer and poorer and poorer. And the rich get richer. That's the system. That's the way it is. The government sides with the rich. They don't care about the poor. That is a formula for hell. And that's the kind of governments we usually have. They never address the people's life. They never address survival. Name one government who addresses the survival of the people. In order for paradise to happen on this planet, life on this planet has to be sacred. Our life, our condition, our quality of life has to be sacred. Our soul freedoms to enjoy life, both internally and externally, free from mental defects on the inside and free from poverty on the outside. That has to be sacred, but it isn't. Religion, which is one of the biggest moral authorities, the biggest moral, sells death, the afterlife, the world, the heaven of the dead. You're going to be liberated from experience and suffering when you die, which means when you're alive, it's worthless. Life is not sacred to religion. Death is sacred to religion. Another principle of paradise is that the school system is a organism that creates success in real life for the soul. The soul has to learn how to succeed in real life on the street in the world, not in algebra courses and in trigonometry courses, and geography courses, history courses, and trivia, to be good in trivia, basically. That's what I learned. I went to nerd hell. I went to school. School is a very long nerd hell. It's a 22-year deal from the ages of 6 to 28 years old. And you come out not knowing anything about the success in real life. They never teach anything about money, about power, about romance and sex, how to be successful in these fields, which are extremely important in real life. I mean, paradise is a Star Trek civilization. It's a united humanity. It's a united soul kingdom where all the enemies of life are fought instead of other races, other countries. Nationalism and racism is a continuous, chronic cycle of fighting nation against nation, race against race, forever and ever like cats and dogs. And that's the formula for hell. It is not the formula for paradise. I mean, even on Facebook, on the game room on Facebook, there's a lot of games to relax from the stresses of life. There are games like Backgammon King and Royal Solitaire where it's country versus country. In Backgammon King, there is a war between Iraq, Iran, and the United States for being the top country in backgammon. Like World War III is happening online on Backgammon King or on Royal Solitaire. There's a lot of sites that do country versus country, and they pit one country against another. That just continues the nationalism and the racism disease in humanity and prevents a Star Trek type civilization where we can get along and we can measure the person, by its merit rather than by its race or country. We have to become good at principles of building not hell, but paradise on earth. There are a very different set of conditions to building paradise on earth. We are good at hell, human hell. The humans love their hell and nobody can shake them out of it. And the hell continues. And the leaders profit from this hell. The corporations have learned how to use our hellish mentality to profit from us. We are not an advanced civilization. An advanced civilization is into paradise. It is a Star Trek type civilization. We are 1 million years away from any kind of Star Trek civilization.